Hi guys, it's Kamil here, and I'm coming to you with my 12th review of the International Booker Prize longlisted book. And this time, today we will talk about short stories collection by Emmanuelle Pagano, Faces on the Tip of My Tongue. Translated from French by Jennifer Higgins and Sophie Lewis. Ambrose Bierce, I will put it down, American short story writer, back in his time called by some critics American Oscar Wilde, once said that a novel is a short story padded. One of Lily King's characters in her latest novel, Writers and Lovers, says that a novel is a short story with something wrong in it. Faces on the Tip of My Tongue by Emmanuelle Pagano is a short story collection which for English translation was re-edited to highlight and harmonize the themes, to live in only those stories connected by either characters or the most visible motives. I find this exercise rather strange, being honest, as I cannot understand why, for the sake of introducing the work to English-speaking audience, one would want to disturb its artistic integrity. The work Pagano created originally is different than what we read in English, you know? To be fair though, in the translator's note it stated that translators collaborated with the author to make a selection for the English version. Nevertheless, the whole exercise still feels quite off for me. The French title is also quite different, as it translates as "A Fox with My Bare Hands." If you read it, you know what it means. However, let's focus on the faces on the tip of my tongue. The brief introduction at the beginning of this Piran Press publication says that Pagano focuses on communities at the peripheries and makes rural France her subject matter in order to showcase how little we know about each others. This juxtaposition of small communities where nobody is anonymous, but hardly ever known on a deeper level by the rest of the community, is very interesting to me, even though it might appear quite simple. Pagano's stories seem to have an overarching theme of mental illness, madness, and depression, and those are the driving themes of her stories. People outright mad, like the local loony walking mountain roads, or fighting in silence, like a mother battling the depression, are the main characters in her short stories. Those are the people living on the peripheries of what we call sanity. I find it fascinating the way she describes depression. In literature, it's often shown as a sickness that comes and can, if treated, go away. But from my own circle of friends, I know that some people suffer differently, that in some sense they never not had it. This paragraph shows what I mean. She never believed in life. Despite her children and her husband, she was never alive. I knew her well before the husband and children, before she began to pretend. Pagano writes about our entanglement with life, the life where we let ourselves being carried away by the streams of things, losing our autonomy to create life. But don't be misled, this is not a self-help type of a writer. Most of the stories are severely melancholic or even mournful. Or in the best case, they become stoic. Like here. The past and the future always come together in the end. Here, in the present, listen to me. Perhaps you're just in the through between the waves. It'll come back to you. We have our tides too. You know, when everything seems to recede, when we feel as though we lost everything. We have our tides like the oceans and seas. The only difference is that our tides have no phases or calendars, and it's precisely that which makes them frightening. I believe it's a very successful short story collection, and thematically, thematically one that I'm driven to. I appreciate that Pagano gives space in her stories to those darker sides of life, to those defined as different, those failing from the edges of our everyday defined as normal life. Short stories in general seem to require more intensified focus. To grasp the reader's attention, move his emotions, or make him care for themes or characters within just a few pages is obviously more challenging for the author than when the reader spends hours with novel, its characters and themes. I believe Pagano managed to do that, to grasp the reader's attention within those very few pages. Faces on the Tip of My Tongue is probably one of the best short stories collection I have ever read, but I still cannot stop thinking that it was not what the author originally published in French. I would like to read what Pagano published following her artistic vision, before the intervention of the English publisher. Still, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a great piece of writing with not easy to handle themes. And the composition of those short stories is also impressive. Both the way they are composed and the order in which those are organized in this collection. Okay guys, let me know if you read it, what did you think of it, and also, I have a favor to ask. I would like to read more short stories, good short stories. Therefore, please let me know which are your favorite short stories or favorite collections of short stories, and which would you recommend me to read next. Next time, the final review, a book I already read in Polish last year, but one I will reread in English to review the English translation. The next one is Serotonin by Michele Elbeck. Polish translation, English translation, read, unread. To make it more interesting, I'm reading also Gogol's Dead Souls, which is recalled in Serotonin quite a lot. Okay, that's all what I have for you today. Talk to you soon, have a great week, bye bye guys.